many games are going to win this fall?
Year one of the Mike Elko era at Texas A&M. Over under win total at FanDuel Sportsbook of 8.5. Bud, what are we doing with the Aggies? Oh, mute.
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
It's okay. It's at least it's not the puke button. It was
how many days, how many shows since Bud got beat up by the mute button? Reset the counter.
So I haven't actually played their win total. I plug it into the calculator. It's really not an edge for me, but I think I'll go slightly over because I do think that in an SEC that lacks as many elite defensive linemen as they normally have, that cannot be said of Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah.
They've got some guys that really rip, and I think that could be a big advantage for them in some games. I will say the game at Auburn, that's kind of sticking out to me like, oh boy. Okay, so I've got A&M like very slightly favored on the road. Am I sure that I feel good about that? Like, I don't know.
They might get some tips from New Mexico State the week before on how to beat Auburn in
big
Jordan
facts.
Hare.
Oh, that's a look-ahead game too for both teams actually. But I took some Texas A&M 325 to make the playoff. You know, if they can beat Notre Dame on opening night, that's going to run.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like I feel like that Notre Dame game probably decides this win total.
Yeah,
like if they win that,
considering everything that's happened in the last 3 weeks. How much more confident do you feel about
what?
Like Shamar Turner and Nick Scorton and like the rest of that defensive line just feasting at the line of scrimmage? Oh gosh, Michael Campbell. Hey, all right, come on in.
Another advantage I kind of see here, which can sometimes backfire if you suffer injuries early, but I look at the schedule early in the year and I think it's a lot more manageable. Yeah. Like getting both your buys in the back half of the season could come in very handy towards the end of the year when you're trying to peak at the right time and finish strong, especially when you've got the games against LSU, you've got that road game against Auburn, and obviously you've got the finale against Texas. But I do think, like, yeah, defensive line wise, this team is awesome. It is going to be very fun to watch that defensive line play. I am somewhat skeptical of the linebackers, but I think playing behind that line, they're probably going to look pretty good. I think the secondary is fine. I think the offensive line is good. I think that at quarterback, I mean, we still kind of have to see it with Connor Wegman. We haven't gotten a full kind of season from him, but I do think he's got the talent, and I think there's a lot of returning experience on this roster. There's not a ton of turnover on the offensive side of the ball. They went in the portal more for depth than they went for starters. And I think they've got a tremendous coaching upgrade. I think Mike Elko is a very good football coach. I think he's brought in a very good staff. I think Colin Klein is one of my favorite offensive coordinators in the country, and he does a lot of interesting, fun things. And he takes advantage of the talent at his disposal. While he has a system, he does a good job of molding what he wants to do with what he has. And I think we've seen that at Kansas State in recent years, and I think we're going to see it at Texas A&M instead of what we have seen where it's just trying to pound a bunch of square pegs into round holes and doing all this different stuff, doing it my way. Colin Klein's gonna be like, all right, we're gonna do it our way. So I like this team going into the year. It's not enough like you, but I don't have enough of an edge to bet it, but I do like the over more than the under.
They don't appear overly, and this is where I'm like testing with my friends, they don't appear overly special on offense.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's my eye is like, yeah, solid, good, you know, and especially as a compliment to a defense I feel awesome about. That's why I can lead to success. But that's why for Texas A&M, my range of outcomes is Bud, yes, make the playoff, but also maybe like 6-6, 7-5. Yeah. I've got that game at Auburn as a toss-up. You know, I think Texas A&M going to Florida could end up being a little bit hairy, depending again on whether or not Colin Klein, who I think was a great, I mean, I said it time and time again, Jimbo Fisher at that point in his career clearly was, you know, things were starting to slip a little bit. But on top of that was I was not a fan of the staff. I just top to bottom. This is not only the exact opposite when you go to Mike Elko in terms of where he is in his career, but I've loved these staff hires. Believing in the offense is believing in Colin Klein, which is one of the reasons I am on the over. But I recognize that if the offense is just okay, there are some teams, there are some teams here that could end up being a little problematic. That said, again, I'm on the over 8.5 here, where I am not sure there is a game that I'm going to say they will lose, but there are enough games that I think could be one-score games, coin flippy, tricky spots in the schedule that it could end up, being a sweat where the Notre Dame game ends up deciding it.
Yeah, I think Texas A&M is like a long-term investment right now, as far as if you're going over on them, like you're very encouraged about where they're going to be the next few years. Maybe you don't see the immediate returns in 2024, even though we're all leaning over. And also Danny is also on the over here, but I think we're going in the right direction in College Station.
Count them out.